So recently, I think in the versus battle communities, we've kind of gone back to the 2001 2022 Wally West versus everyone debate. And I thought, I have this list of 127 commonly used versus battle characters, and it could be fun to, place them based on, I think, how they would perform against the Flash. So wins no diff, we're going to be talking about the characters, right? So if I place the character up here, that means that they would beat Wally West Flash no diff, and if they're down here, then they lose to Wally West Flash. You can see where they are relative to Wally West right here. I put in the middle, and so I think one thing that's important to establish is like exactly which Wally West I'm going to be using, because he varies a lot. I think to appease anyone who might be like a huge Wally West stan, and I think just to make him more interesting, we'll be using the like pretty much Wally West at his peak minus the Mobius chair. So like Wally West when he's I think the exact way they say it is faster than the Speed Force. So when he is like kind of like the living embodiment of the Speed Force, I guess is how I more or less interpret it. So we'll be using that version of him, and I guess just to do some baseline scaling, it's important to note. So speed obviously going to be like pretty much immeasurable. I don't think there is a character on this list that you could argue would be faster than him. Really, in like all of fiction, I don't really think you can argue any character to be faster. Even like omnipresent characters, he's at least equal on speed with, because being faster than the Speed Force means you're faster than a force that's literally bigger than the DC multiverse. So in a sense, he is just existing everywhere at once. So I guess in terms of striking strength, I will actually admit, and I do like to admit when I'm wrong. In my previous tiering video, I mentioned the Flash, Barry Allen, but I think Wally West scales to and above Barry Allen in almost every stat. But while Barry Allen used an infinite mass punch, and I said to knock back the anti-monitor, and I guess technically that was true, but it is like worth noting it wasn't like a pure physical strength feat. I just read the comic. I think it was Dark Crisis Big Bang #1 where he punches the anti-monitor. He actually hits the anti-monitor with an attack that basically doesn't do any damage to anti-monitor, but it does send him through like different dimensions. Right, he hits anti-monitor like at least 50 times with this attack, and anti-monitor is like pretty much unfazed, and then immediately hits him back, and I think kills him or injures him. But the point is like so. Flash strength shouldn't scale to anti-monitor, so it shouldn't scale, complex multiversal. I think instead could probably put it. I'd say like universal to low multiversal is probably fair. In terms of feats, we've seen like much weaker versions of Wally West able to damage characters with Ultraman, with like a bunch like thousands of punches it took, but he is able to hurt Ultraman, who's like obviously in some sense comparable to Superman. And anything else we have for his scaling? That is mostly, aside from that, we don't really like infinite mass punch. There's like a fallacy that's often used where it like people say it has infinite AP, but it really doesn't. It hasn't been shown to. We don't usually see Wally West, putting up fisticuffs against characters like Doomsday. If it was truly infinite, characters like Doomsday wouldn't be a problem. Any character really wouldn't be a problem if you have an infinite AP attack. So it's not truly infinite, and I think in terms of scaling, generously you could put it low multiversal. And I think like a little more consistently, you could probably get it to like universal plus. That's just my thoughts on it. People can agree and disagree. And so I didn't like look through this list and like think of these matchups ahead of time. So I'm going to be talking through my mental process for most of them, unless I think like it's a very clear and it doesn't really require an explanation. Then I'll just like briefly do it. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, let's get started. I'm going to start with Adam Warlock. So Adam Warlock is pretty much a top tier Marvel character. I think he's even like kind of like very close to those outer Verso levels in his like strongest incarnations. So only thing that might be a little difficult is like being able to touch the Flash, right? But in terms of like his durability, his strength, Adam Warlock just completely outclasses the Flash. Flash can't hurt him. And I guess it's worth talking about like win conditions for a fight as well. it doesn't have to be to the death. It could be like incapacitation or like restraining the opponent. It can also be death. And I guess like we will count like some sort of like out of bounds scenarios for some of these characters. We'll discuss that later. So Adam Warlock, I think, wins like relatively low difficulty. I think we'll save the no diff categories for characters who are even above Adam Warlock, but I think Adam Warlock pretty convincingly is going to be winning against Wally West Flash. Aizen is an interesting character because it really depends on exactly how you want to go about this. So first of all, we'll assume that Barry Allen can see Aizen. I think anything else is probably just like an unfair, like, what are we even talking about at that point? And really, if he can see and interact with Aizen, then if Wally West, is put into this fight, like, and told, you have to win this fight, and like the stakes are reasonably high, like high enough where Wally West isn't like fooling around, then he gets the win, right? But if he, talks Aizen, lets Aizen get comfortable, or sorry, rather lets Aizen activate his Kyoka so he gets, then, Aizen literally can't lose, right? Because Wally West wouldn't be able to see the attack coming, and Aizen could just like, kill him while he's not paying attention. But I think for the speed blitz, and we're going to assume that the characters are being like at least pretty serious when it comes to the fight. So, we're going to say, I'd say Aizen gets like pretty easily stomped. Only thing is, I guess his durability also kind of doesn't really do it. But I'll move him to mid diff because he does have a pretty versatile kit, and when he does have his Kyoka, so he gets active, that's like pretty hard to deal with. But for the most part, he's definitely losing to the Flash. Akuma gets no diff. He's just not there in terms of scaling. Way too slow, way too weak. Just gets absolutely blitzed. Alien X, grossly overrated character, but still wins medium difficulty. We are, of course, assuming that Alien X works in like a... actually, let me think about this. So, Alien X, the Omniverse in Ben 10 isn't... I don't think we can get it to complex multiversal, right? And with the Flash, infused with... the Speed Force, or like when he surpasses a few Speed Force, the Speed Force is in some sense like an outer versal force, right? I wouldn't say that he scales outer versal, but like it's a force that exists outside of the complex multiverse of DC, and I just don't think we can get Alien X to that hot like that level. I think that in terms of showings and what we've seen, but it's hard to say because we've never really seen him take attacks before. But, if we're going off of what we've seen him able to do, reset creation and stuff, like maybe we have to give him the win. Because creation is just like, in a lot of senses, like a much higher than just like straight destructive power, at least the way I think about it. Although I think a lot of times people equate creating something to like being able to destroy something of that size, which I don't think is 100% fair. The other thing is, I don't know if I can imagine Kid Flash, or sorry, I say Kid Flash, but I just mean like Wally West, being able to damage Alien X. That being said, if they start the fight and Alien X is in Ben form, and he's told like just go into the fight, you have to do everything you can to win, instantly taking Ben down. Like no chance he has enough time to hit the watch. But yeah, I'm not comfortable. I think high diff is fine. I think that kind of represents the idea that I think it could go either way. But I think I'm leaning a little more towards wins than stalemate. I'm leaning more toward lose. I think it's tough. I think this is probably an unpopular take, but I think Alien X is pretty grossly overrated. Amazo doesn't have time to adapt. Literally, all he needs is time, and he just won't have it in this fight. We're going to assume that he, isn't already adapted to the speed, because why would he be? And then in terms of, feats, and then we are talking about, I guess, DC AU Amazo, because that's what I took this picture from, and he doesn't have the durability to take, an infinite mass punch. Anos Voldigode, don't know too much about, the scaling of the verse in terms of size. He's another character that's on creation levels, and that might be enough to bump him, but at the same time I wasn't generous for Alien X, so maybe I shouldn't be generous for him either. It feels almost wrong, but I think this is fair, and he definitely doesn't have the same level of speed could very easily get speed blitz. I think it's fair. Anti-monitor is definitely like medium diffing. Wally West can do that thing where he punches him through a few dimensions. Can even harm him. I think Barry Allen was able to destroy the anti-monitor's armor with a bunch of punches, but like, that's not really like, that's not what you need to be anti-monitor. He's a little stronger than that. The suit kind of just helps contain him. So yeah, he definitely can't touch anti-monitor. Anti-Spiral suffers from, I think, the general same problem as Alien X and Anos, where he's like top of his verse for sure, but doesn't really have the feats, or like the universe doesn't have like the size scaling that could get it to the point where we're confidently saying he's beating somebody like Wally West. Apocalypse, medium dift, maybe even low dift. Doesn't have the durability to withstand like 100 infinite mass punches. Over time, Wally West is just going to beat him down. Also worth noting, Wally West, with his full access to the Speed Force, has unlimited stamina, which means that nobody's like going to be able to just tank hits. And like, as long as they're taking even just like a little tiny bit of damage, then they're going to lose because, for the most part, they really just can't touch him. Aquaman, unfortunately, gets no dift. Arceus, again, these creation things, the creation characters, but without like, the complex multiversal scalings to get them higher. It's tough, but it's just how it is. Azathoth, now this is going to be a bit hypocritical, right? Because I think there's this idea that, he would have to be like in the same tier because, he is like creation level and we don't have anything that really expands the Lovecraft lore to be big enough. But at the same time, he is like so far beyond the characters that are already, in my opinion, probably around like the, universal level or multiversal level for Lovecraft. Like, he's so far above the other elder gods. It's like not even close. I think generally I just put him way higher than these guys. And I'm now trying to think, how would I compare these guys to Anti-Monitor? Honestly, I think maybe I would put these guys just a hair above Flash. In terms of strength, in terms of because creation is just, it's so much more impressive than anything Flash has done. And yeah, in terms of like strength and attack power, he actually isn't really up to this part, right? He's like maybe universal at best. I said like low complex or low multiversal at best as well, and I think that's fair. But like in terms of showings and feats, he really does not hurt much characters that are stronger than Ultraman. And if he has trouble with Ultraman, like in terms of outputting damage, he probably is going to struggle with these guys. I've reassessed, and I apologize. Maybe I'll move them around, but I guess I withhold the right to move characters around as I go. Hellbat Batsuit does not have the stamina. Just will get absolutely destroyed if Wally West just avoids him for a few minutes. Beerus, so he's tanking a lot of attacks from the Flash, but he isn't taking no damage. So I'm going to put him, lose his high diff. It'll take quite a bit, but Flash will eventually be able to wear him down. Pre-Retcon Beyonder destroys. Black Adam is around Apocalypse level. Black Bolt has no chance. Captain America, no chance. Captain Atom is just going to explode again. Captain Marvel, I think you could probably put around the Black Adam's level in terms of durability. But again, like still getting blitzed and it doesn't have the durability to withstand it. Cell is probably around Eyes and maybe a little lower. Probably even lower than that. I'll move Captain Atom up. Chad destroyed. Cyborg Superman kind of scales. Okay, let's hold off on Cyborg Superman. Let me put him down by regular Superman, and we will discuss him later. Okay. Daredevil smoked. Dark Phoenix smokes. And the Darkest Night, we actually have this battle. Even Mobius Chair Flash got I guess Mobius Chair Flash got tricked. He didn't really get overpowered. But when he was kicked out of the Mobius Chair, he was like running from the TDK because he was scared. TDK almost caught him too. And he knew he wouldn't win the fight. So that like pretty much confirmed that he puts TDK above. Also like an outer-versa level threat. So Darkseid, it really depends on if we're thinking like an avatar form of Darkseid or true Darkseid. I think true Darkseid's probably a little more fun to use. And I think true Darkseid's probably about on par with Anti-Monitor for the most part. Darth Sidious gets wrecked. Darth Vader wrecked. Deku is pretty cool, but unfortunately gets wrecked. Doomsday, we will discuss with Superman as well. Where did I put Superman? Oh, there he is. Dormammu is probably, absolutely clapping. Has his own dimension, just like kind of beyond what Wally West has really been shown to be able to do. Really can't. I don't think Wally West can hurt him, and that's the main thing. And then he's not like going to be able to outlast him because they like are both pretty much infinite lasting. So you call it a stalemate where Dormammu isn't able to hit him, I guess. But there's really no reason to think that. Dormammu lives in his own realm where he has like complete control. He's kind of beyond the concept of speed as well. Doctor Doom. Without prep time, Doctor Doom is definitely having a tough time. I don't really see him doing anything. Dr. Fate, probably around Doctor Doom. Dr. Manhattan. He should probably be. He's definitely like around Darkest Night. There's no, I guess, like reason to keep those two characters separate. Strange is clapped. Drax clapped. Escanor clapped. Firestorm destroyed. Honestly, these characters are also getting like no diffed. I think it was being a little too generous. Barry Allen really just is worse in every way to Wally West. Still, I guess, comparable, but and like able to keep up at least for a little bit. But Wally West, if he has like the full speed force, it's like just not close. Franklin Richards, I think, would be a character that could pull off a win. Although I guess in terms of durability, I guess if we start them off facing each other, Flash should just be able to speed blitz him. So maybe we'll put him high diff. Frieza, I think I'll put around Beerus level with the recent Frieza Black, though we don't really know too much about it. Galactus is one of those characters that varies quite a bit. It's hard to say. Would I put him below Anti-Monitor? Probably yes, but I don't know if I would put him so much lower. He has the durability to live, unlike Franklin Richards. So maybe wins high diff. Gamba gets smoked. Garo gets smoked. God Emperor Doom destroys. Ghost Rider can never touch him. Gilgamesh, I think the Fate characters are apparently immune to conventional physical damage, which I've learned recently. So, really no touching him. Godzilla, depends maybe on the form of Godzilla, but generally he's probably not standing a chance. Gojo, it's interesting. Really depends on how you think Gojo's Infinity is going to interact with somebody who is like omnipresent, right? Like, can he just hit Gojo because he wants to? I don't really know. It's a very conceptual one. And we don't really know how Gojo would interact with being speed blitzed because his Infinity is instantaneous, but at the same time, like, Flash is faster than instantaneous. So it's really hard. I think you could very easily, in the case where you think Flash isn't able to get through Infinity, Gojo literally cannot lose. He just hits him with a domain expansion and it's game over. But I think the way I would interpret it, I think he probably just gets touched by Flash Speed Blitz. Goku, probably around here. Oh, I feel bad. I think probably this is a closer rearrangement and then put Aizen one down. Golden Experience Requiem. Let me think. The thing is, like, a lot of these, we don't really know how time works with them, but I think Golden Experience Requiem, I think narratively feels like it's above time, right? It was able to operate in stopped time, which I think is like pretty much as close as you're going to get in a different series that doesn't have like these crazy speedsters to confirming that he would probably just be like beyond the concept. And then he can just like, affect causality and then, Flash is cooked. Parallax form, Hal Jordan should win pretty handedly. I don't think Flash is really hurting him. Regular Hal, probably a little too weak. Definitely is taking damage to attacks. Homelander is getting smoked. Hulk probably can tank anything that Flash can throw at him. He'll just get angrier and angrier, but at the same time, he's never touching Flash. So that's going to probably be the first stalemate. But I guess of the same logic, am I imagining that Parallax is touching him? Maybe not. Okay. Ichigo, probably around Aizen, maybe lower actually. Iron Man, Smoked, Jiren, around this level. Juggernaut's an interesting case because Juggernaut also has unlimited stamina. It also doesn't take damage from conventional physical attacks, but Flash is definitely able to dodge anything Juggernaut throws. But at the same time, so we do have a showing in which Crisis event was it? Actually, it might have been Sinestro Core Wars, where the Flashes all combine their Speed Force into Bart Allen, and he's able to use it to trap Superboy Prime into the Speed Force, albeit temporarily. And I guess that does count as a win, right? If you're able to like put somebody out of bounds and they can't return. So I guess that actually is a win condition. He has some of the stronger characters that he's not really able to deal damage to, and that don't have like reality manipulation powers or the strength to just bust out of realities. I would actually say Hulk probably can bust out. Superboy Prime was able to, and Superboy Prime is like a complex multiversal. Hulk is also about complex multiversal as well. He's able in like a base form to fight against Odin Force Thor, relatively even footing, but I think he still lost that fight. But still, like, you know, being able to do that is pretty impressive. And I guess in that sense, I would say he probably wins. But at the same time, he's not really touching Flash, which is a problem. That's a problem with Bart Allen Flash is unlimited speed and unlimited stamina makes him like really hard for most characters to deal with. And you really need either like some sort of like reality manipulation power, or you just need to be like above the concept of speed. So, and you know, honestly, maybe the Hulk is taking damage from a few punches from the Flash. So like high end of high diff, but Kaguya clapped, Kang overrated, clapped. Ultimate Cars, yeah, unfortunately clapped. He can just get trapped in the Speed Force. Kenpachi, at Aizen's level. No, clapped. Who's this? Null? I think Null is one of those characters that's like in a weird place, but I'm pretty sure he's probably comparable to like Dormammu in terms of strength. Maybe a little lower. Kratos is getting speed blitzed and killed. I'll put him up here. We'll drop him. Kirby destroying. Kyle Rayner around Hal Jordan. Living Tribunal is winning. Lobo is getting smacked around. I'm trying to think maybe these high, mid, low, and no is kind of like a little arbitrary. Or maybe it should have just been stalemate, loses, wins. But it's fine for now. I've already started. Loki, speed blitzed as well. It's just unfortunate. None of these guys really stand up. You know, I guess I see a win condition with Loki using his like mirages, kind of like I did with Aizen. So we'll pop him in this tier. 5 Gear Luffy is just destroyed. Magneto has no chance. Martian Manhunter. I guess it really depends on how exactly you imagine Martian Manhunter his like intangibility is going to operate. He wouldn't be able to react in time, but if for whatever reason he was able to start phasing and just like never stopped, I guess, well, then Barry would just have to go, or Wally West would just have to go find like a matchbook of what do you call those? A matchbook of, matches. Yeah, there we go. Oh wow, that's crazy. Matchbook of matches. All right, whatever. So he's getting clapped. Mephisto around Dormammu's level, I think. Merrim's clapped. My guy's the GOAT, but he's clapped. Mongol probably suffers from, it takes a long time to kill, but does get killed eventually and just doesn't touch the Flash syndrome. So these guys are also low tier. Odin Force Thor is casually smacking. Omni-Man's too weak. Punisher is maybe even like below no diff. Yeah, it's weird because there's a lot of characters here who like seem like they're in completely different tiers of power. Like, you know, you never really see a situation where you have, like perfect Cell in the same tier as Daredevil or the Punisher. But like, I guess that just goes to show that like there's a very big, like the no diff category is, you know, very varied for a character like this, where there's some characters just have no chance at all. I could probably bump them so up. All right, Red Hulk, a little worse than normal Hulk. Reverse Flash gives him a good run for his money, but ultimately, he's lost the fight so many times, and that was before he got like full Speed Force access. Rimuru is probably around Anos' level. Saber, we can scale similarly to Gilgamesh. Sailor Moon, definitely beyond the concept of speed as well. So she's up there. Saitama, gag character. It really depends on how you feel about this. He's never been Speed Blitz before, but he's also never encountered a character that fast before. I'm just going to put him in stalemate. Sakura gets destroyed. Scarlet King destroys. Scarlet Witch, if we're using House of M Scarlet Witch, she destroys. I don't know if... Yeah, I think that's probably the very version used. Void Sentry, I think... Do I think that the Flash can hurt Void Sentry? Do I think, a low multiversal could hurt a complex multiversal? Void Sentry, I think, doesn't really even take conventional damage. I'm pretty sure that Sentry has crazy regeneration feats. Like, to the extent that I think he can only die if he wants to. Right, and I believe he was able to even resist being erased from existence by time manipulation. So he probably can't die to the Flash. Also has, like, his unlimited stamina. And then the question is, do I think he could ever land a hit? I don't think it's impossible. I think with characters who are at least comparable, or like who are also like, bordering those lines of infinitesimal speed, like infinitesimally fast speed, infinitely fast speed. Like Sentry scaling to Thor, who's like, kind of at that level. He's able to outrun like the Bifrost. So, I think that, even though he's obviously slower than the Flash, I think that it's like wrong to assume that he could never land a hit. And, if these guys are going at a fight where, one needs to come out the winner, then, like, eventually I think Sentry is just going to get that lucky hit and win. You can disagree with that. Sephiroth, no diff. Shazam, low diff. Shinra Bancho, probably low diff. It's hard to say. It's also, like, a creation, but we don't really know what level. But he's able to really affect reality and, like, kind of bend it to his whim. So we'll put him here. Silver Surfer is getting relatively smacked up. Doesn't have the durability. Spawn is another creation character. I don't know how I feel about Spawn being lower. I think we'll put him here. Spectre, overrated as heck, but still probably not losing. Spider-Man, hot. Easy, Steel, easy. Sukuna, easy. Wukong, low diff. Superboy Prime. Okay, so can't trap Superboy Prime in the Speed Force, and even when all the Flashes were combining their Speed Force powers into Bart Allen, they decided, like, okay, we need to, like, try to out of bounds him. We just can't do damage to him. He, for sure, has no trouble winning. Probably around here. Let's see. Low diff. Maybe I need to bump these characters up. Their durability is kind of insane. And Superboy Prime was eventually able to, like, tag Flashes. So, just because you're fast enough to dodge doesn't mean that you, like, automatically have, like, stalemate or better odds at winning a fight, at least in the way I interpret it. I think over time, like, if a character is at least comparable in speed, he can eventually land a hit. So I guess this is going to kind of destroy the tier list a little bit. Let's maybe separate the high diffs. Medium diff, Rimuru, and Anos. Maybe Alien X. The Anti-Spiral can stay here. Shinra Bancho can stay. Yeah, I'm okay with this. Okay. Superman Prime 1 million. Don't really have feats for this guy. But, okay, let's talk about Superman real quick. So, Superman's stronger. Flash is much faster. Superman's at least comparable, so I think he would be able to touch Flash if the fight goes on long enough. Both are pretty much around, like, infinite levels of stamina, although Wally West is literally infinite stamina, and I don't think we can say the same for Superman. That being said, Superman is capable of tussling with Superboy Prime, which Wally West isn't. And being able to take attacks from Superboy Prime puts him at complex multiversal. If he's at complex multiversal, and I really can't imagine Wally West is able to hurt him. It's not like the same as being able to hurt Ultraman. Like, Superman is kind of just on his own completely different level. So, I'd say I'd probably put Superman around high diff. And I guess by extension, if we're just assuming that Superman Prime 1 million should just scale above Superman, we can put him up there. Cyborg Superman, I'm not confident can quite scale as high as Superman. Doesn't really have the showings, although he is able to tussle with Superman, to be fair. So I think you can go two ways with that. Doomsday, I don't think is ever taking damage. I think he can regenerate any damage he takes fast enough. But he's not touching the Flash, and his speed just isn't like quite on par with Superman. So I think we can probably put that in this as one of the first stalemates. Swamp Thing, really hard to kill Swamp Thing. I really don't think you have to kill every bit of vegetation in the world, the universe. Also around creation levels for the DC, and that's complex multiversal, if not adversal. So I'll put him up here. Thanos, I think we're gonna first without Infinity Gauntlet, he gets destroyed. With the Infinity Gauntlet, he destroys, probably around a little above Adam Warlock. Thing, no, Thing's clapped. Thor is low diffed. Tobal Hulk destroys. Trigon around Dormammu levels. Ultra Ego Vegeta around here. Honestly, these guys need to be swapped around a bit, I think. I think we can probably put Shazam, Thanos, Thor up here. They at least have the speed to maybe have a chance, but these guys are so unbelievably outclassed. Way too slow. Oh yeah, what am I doing? These guys are all jokes. We're gonna get to Wonder Review in a sec. Wonder Woman, maybe has a chance. She is a pretty strategic fighter, to her credit, but I don't know if she's she definitely doesn't have the same durability as somebody like Mongol or heaven know the Juggernaut, but she's probably taking enough damage over time where Wally West wins. Okay, Zoro's clapped. Zeus from Record of Ragnarok based on feats is clapped. Zeno is just complex multiversal. Yuha. I guess the Almighty really shouldn't be something that Flash can get over. So put him up there. Yamato. I guess it depends. And I guess he wouldn't start with Bankai active, and then Flash could just speed blitz him, and he doesn't have the durability. So, okay, fair enough. Yamcha, garbage. Fortunately, same with Yami, and Yujiro doesn't have a chance. Wonder Review, I think, if you're gonna say that maybe the Speed Force is beyond logic, then I guess you can say that Wally West should be able to touch him. But otherwise, just Wonder Review's ability is a little too hacksy. It's just not possible for the Flash to win. As soon as he approaches, he just gets necked. I'm trying to think how I feel about this list. Anything I want to change around? I think most of these guys in the top tier are okay. I think these guys definitely have a easy time wiping Flash. These guys, I think I'm generally in agreement. I guess this is where I have the biggest concern, and I think it really depends on how you interpret a lot of it. Are they able to touch him? Are they beyond speed? Like I say, I think that there's a very dubious list, to be sure. I think that scaling in general is already pretty hard, but then with a character like Wally West, where he's so gimmicky in that he's so overtuned in exactly one stat that it's really hard to imagine. Normally in these versus battles, you could take two characters. You could be okay, well, this character is a little stronger in this feat. This character is a little stronger in this. So therefore, we should be able to come to a victor. But in this case, we have Wally West is so much faster than everybody else. But at the same time, is he really even faster than somebody else who's beyond the concept of speed? And then if he's so much faster, but his striking and durability aren't nearly on the same level, how would the interaction go? I guess to some extent, it feels like fights should generally favor the faster combatant, but that's assuming he's actually able to cause damage. And then it's hard to say, like, what are Flash's, like, real striking strength feats? Can we scale him to the Anti-Monitor? Probably not. Can we scale him to Ultraman? That sounds more reasonable, but then, like, there's a lot of characters between Ultraman and Anti-Monitor. So, just a fun list. I don't know if I can say this is, like, the holy grail or, like, some, I guess the Rosetta Stone of these matchups. This is just how I feel about it, and not a lot of research went into it. But that's all I've got for this video. It was fun making, and hope you guys enjoyed.